Jason, what's been the biggest reason for the turnaround with you guys from 3-5 to winning 4 in a row?
What we try to do is just keep banging away. You have a young football team that's just trying to get better and better every week, and we've done some good things here the last few ball games, but we're a work in progress like everybody else. So guys are locked in and working hard each day and getting ready for this challenge on Sunday.
What are some of those things that you've been doing well that you're most impressed with?
Well, we played some close games. We played against some good teams, and we've had to battle for 60 minutes in the game. I just think probably in general we've done a good job handling the success and adversity of the game, and maybe we didn't do as good a job of that early on in the year, and that's something that comes with maturity and experience. But you're going to have some good things happen. You got to keep playing, and when you have adversity, you got to just keep playing and overcome it. And I think we've done a better job of that the last few weeks.
Jason, now that you've had Amari Cooper for a number of weeks, what has he added to your offense?
Amari's just a good football player, and we thought he was a good player coming out in the draft. Had a great career at Alabama, and had a lot of success early on there in Oakland. And he's someone we liked a lot as a person. We liked him a lot as a player, and we had a chance to get him. And he's really been exactly what we thought he was going to be. He's a very capable guy physically. Can run any route that you ask him to run. He's very smart. Plays in a lot of different spots in our formations, and just very comfortable doing what we ask him to do. And he's been very productive when we've thrown him the ball. Good things have happened. He's made a lot of little plays for us. He's made a lot of big plays for us. So certainly been a good addition to our offense.
Has that also helped Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott especially become more effective now that they weren't before, obviously? But.
Yeah, I just think it helps everybody when you add another weapon to your arsenal. It just gives the defenses that much more to have to deal with. And I think anytime you have a really good group of players, they all benefit from each other. And there's no question that Amari and our receiving core benefit from Zeke Elliott because of what he's able to do in games and what the defense is trying to do to stop him, and it works the other way as well. When you have some threats in the passing game, that certainly complements the running game.
Hey, Jason, since you played the Eagles last, they started featuring Josh Adams more. How is their offense different now that they use Josh Adams as much as they do?
Well, he's just a good player. When they've given him opportunities, he's been productive for them. He's a talented guy. He's big. He's strong. He's physical. He just makes a lot of plays when the ball's in his hands. So easy to see why they've given him those opportunities. And obviously, Sproles being back now, he's another weapon that they have in their arsenal around Carson and all those receivers and tight ends. So they got a lot of different guys you have to contend with every time the ball's snapped.
Jason, you've had a lot of success defensively this year. How did you manage the coaching staff and bringing in Chris Richard, and how's that worked out so well?
Well, I think it's worked out well. Obviously, Rod Marinelli has done a great job for us as our defensive coordinator, and we had the opportunity to get Chris, and we just felt like he would be a really good fit for us. So much of what he believes in is what we believe in, defensively, and I think his values come from the same system that Rod Marinelli grew up in, and I just think those guys have really fit each other well and complemented each other well. He's a good football coach. I think the guys are playing better individually, and I think they're playing better collectively, and he's had a lot to do with that.
Jason, Dak has 24 rushing first downs, which I think is ahead of last year's pace even. How do you approach his aggressiveness as a runner with him? I mean, what do you tell him as far as when to run, when to be, when to? Is it just him?
Well, it's part of his game, and it's one of the reasons we liked him so much. Coming out of school, we just felt like he was a very multi-dimensional player. Could beat you in the passing game. He could beat you with his feet, and he's demonstrated that over the course of his career with us. He does a really good job extending plays and throwing the ball down the field to make some plays, and then like you alluded to, he does a really good job when he just runs with the ball. And he's made a number of plays for us. Like with any quarterback, you want to make sure that you're smart and you're deliberate when you run the ball, and you make sure you get what you can, and then you protect yourself. And he's got a pretty good feel for doing that. Again, he's run the ball a lot throughout his career.
Hey, Jason, before that first Eagles game, you guys had a short week. The Eagles had extended rest. This time it's kind of the opposite. How much do you think that factors in the games when you have extended rest and whatnot?
Something I learned a long time ago is you really have no control over that. So what you have to do is control your situation as best you can. And when the schedule makers come out with things, there's a lot of different circumstances that you're going to have to deal with over the course of a season. And the biggest thing you have to do is just understand that it ain't changing, and you have to lock in and make the best of it, whether it appears to be advantageous or disadvantageous to you. So I think our guys do a good job of that, and obviously we're getting locked in for this challenge this week.
What made you guys successful on a short week last time?
Again, just that same thing. You do your best to handle those circumstances, and you focus in on your preparation, then you go play. And a lot of the weeks are going to be the same. A lot of the weeks are going to be different over the course of 17 weeks, and you just have to handle them as they come.
Do you kind of see this as a typical NFC East season? Washington had the good start, and you guys kind of came on the last 4 or 5 weeks, and now the Eagles are kind of trying to make a run, and you go into a December game, against them playing for first place. I mean, what's that kind of like?
Yeah, it seems like it's been that way for a long time in the NFC East. Everybody's battling, everybody's competing, and one of the things you find out really in any division is that it's a long year, and you just got to keep playing and keep fighting, and you're really no different for any of the teams this year.
Jim Schwartz doesn't blitz a whole lot relative to other defensive coordinators. I'm wondering, how that impacts you as you're prepping for a game.
Well, obviously they're a really good defense. They have some excellent players on their front, and the linebackers and their DBs. They're all really, really good. They're good on all three levels of their defense, and I think they play a scheme that they believe in. And you always have to be ready for pressure anytime the ball's snapped, and there'll be some timely pressures that you face, against the Eagles. In some games you see them pressure more, some games you see them pressure less. But the one thing that's constant is they play defense at a very high level.
Golden Tate was brought in by the Eagles. This will be the third time he played him this year. What does he add to an offense?
Again, just a really good player. They use him a lot of different ways. He's been very productive throughout his career, lining up inside, lining up outside, running a variety of routes, and then he's so dangerous when he has the ball in his hands. He's a really, really good runner. He's strong. He's physical. He's competitive. He's got quickness and explosiveness, so he's just a very dangerous player. Again, you have to be aware of him every time the ball's snapped.
When you've looked at the tape, Jason, of your first game with them and then their game last week with Washington, I mean, can you see a difference in his comfort level with that offense and how Carson has kind of developed some chemistry with him?
Yeah, obviously he's a really good player, and Carson's a really good player. So, really just about time on task. And, he was dangerous from the first game that he played there. And like you said, this will be the third time we face him. And, we know what he can bring to an offense. And, he makes a lot of little plays in games and a lot of big plays. So I don't think there's any question the more they play together, the more comfortable they'll get.
That first Eagles game, what did you learn about Van Den Esch that day in particular?
Oh, I don't know that I learned anything that we didn't know. I mean, he's a great kid who prepares really well. He loves football. He plays hard. He plays the right way. I think the biggest thing for him is just continuing to play and gaining more and more experience as he goes. And typically with any player, the more experience you have and the more confident you get, the faster you can play. And I think we've seen that growth in him over the course of the year.
You don't end up with as many good linebackers as you guys have had, unless it's part of your philosophy, I'd imagine, Jason. Just what is it? Is it something about your scheme that makes you emphasize linebackers, or is it more philosophical?
Well, obviously you want players who are really good and productive at every position. So, when we bring guys to our team, whether we draft them or sign them as free agents, you want guys who fit into the scheme, and you want guys who can help you and make some plays. And linebacker is a very important position. Typically those guys are the leaders of the defense. They're the glue between the front and the back end, and typically those guys have a lot to do with playing really good defense. We've been fortunate to have Sean Lee for a number of years as one of our best defensive players and our defensive leader, and it's good to have a couple of young guys with him. Jalen Smith has done a really nice job for us since we drafted him out of Notre Dame, coming off of a really significant injury. His progress over the last year and a half has been off the charts, and we mentioned Leighton. Leighton continues to grow. We value that position, and typically those guys can have an impact on how well your defense plays.
Jason, when you play a team like the Eagles and you have that level of familiarity, do you have to kind of balance between showing them things they haven't seen on tape versus doing what works for you normally?
I think that's a challenge that everybody has when you play division games. You play them twice. We just played them a month ago. That's just the nature of the NFL schedule, and everybody has that balance week in and week out about doing the things that you do well in all three phases of your team, and then showing the opposing team maybe something a little bit different. And you're always balancing what that is. Obviously you can't do the exact same thing the exact same way every week. This league's too good, but obviously you want to stick to the core of what you do, and then you want to have some variation that attacks the opponent different ways.